Thank you, Jane, for your wonderful talk. It's very interesting talking to you yesterday and then listening to you this morning. It seems a lot of digestion has taken place. Before I ask for questions, I'd like to mention that one of the people we were chanting for this morning, we were chanting Jijang Bosal chanting for Roger Keyes, who died yesterday, or we just got the news this morning anyway. He was a longtime member of the Quantum School of Zen. His wife, Elizabeth, Jito Popsanim, is a teacher in our school. And he was a notable art historian, specializing in Japanese art, and a very valuable member of our Sangha. And so we chanted for him this morning, and we continue to chant for him for a while. So does anyone have any kind of question?
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, I'll go. I have a question about a quote that Providence Zen Center put on their Instagram page the other day. And so I want to read the quote, and can you explain it to me?
I don't know. Go ahead and read it.
Okay. It's by Huang Po, and it says, "Relinquishment of everything is the Dharma, and he who understands this is a Buddha. But the relinquishment of all delusions leaves no Dharma on which to lay hold." So I understand sort of the first sentence, but the second sentence really threw me for a loop.
So read the second sentence again.
The second sentence says, the relinquishment of all delusions leaves no Dharma on which to lay hold.
On which to, what's the last?
Lay hold.
Way hold?
Lay hold.
Oh, okay. I understand now. Thank you. Yeah, this means don't be attached to anything. Don't be attached to your thinking. Don't be attached to your non-thinking. Don't be attached to your meditation. Don't be attached to your suffering. So then the quote says, there is no Dharma that you can lay hold of. So Dharma means, its usual meaning in Buddhism is teaching. But it has a much more fundamental meaning than that, and I think that's the meaning that's in play here. So the word Dharma, the Sanskrit word Dharma, means something firm, solid, real. It's actually, I'll talk about this word during the class next week. We're having a class on sort of key words in Buddhism. It's cognate, that is linguistically related to the English word firm. That is both the Sanskrit root dharm and what comes across in English as firm. Go back to a common root in Indo-European. So there's nothing firm that you can hold on to. So I don't think it means here there's no teaching you can hold on to, not Dharma in that sense. But there's nothing real, solid, firm that you can hold on to. So ultimately, you can't rely on anything. Only your true self. So our practice, we have a question here. Dharma is related to durable, duration. Actually, yes, it is. I'll get to that in my class if that's all right. But you notice that the M is missing in these roots, durable. So durable means lasting, that which endures in time, but doesn't necessarily have, that firm substance that the word dharma suggests. So that's my best take on that quote. I hadn't seen it. I guess I don't read the Providence Zen Center newsletter regularly. And you said it was Wang Po, and haven't come across it in whatever Wang Po I've read. It's a very interesting quote. So ultimately, there's nothing that you can absolutely depend on. Then what are you? So we're finally left with that great question that is really the cornerstone of Zen meditation. What is this? The great question, or what am I? So you can actually make that your meditation technique. The inhalation, you ask yourself, what am I? Or what is this? So maybe 3 seconds breathing in, what am I? And then breathing out, don't know. For maybe twice as long as your inhalation was. And then repeat that over and over and over. Keep looking, keep looking, keep looking. What is this? That's called keeping a great question. And it's fundamental to Zen meditation. What are you? Don't know. So this don't know is not the same as ignorance. It's a mind that is completely open and looking. Don't know mind was one of Zen Master Sung San's favorite phrases. You must keep this don't know mind. Last night, Judy and I were part of a program sponsored by a group in Taiwan. And we called that, they asked us, what do you want this program called? And we suggested the great work of life and death. And that comes from the way Zen Master Sung San used to end all of his letters. He had a prolific correspondence with all of his students worldwide, and many of these letters have been collected. And he would sometimes go on for a page or two. But at the end, he always ended, his customary ending was, I hope you only go straight, don't know, which is clear like space. Try, try, try for 10,000 years. Soon, 10,000 years go by in the blink of an eye. Soon, attain enlightenment and save all beings from suffering. So that's the great work of life and death. So thank you for your question. And are there any other questions?
Stan, trying to think how to phrase this. My question is about how do we balance taking care of ourselves? Like Judy uses that analogy, putting your mask on, your oxygen mask on first. We have to take care of ourselves, but how do we balance that with not for me? And, how can I help you?
I always thought that putting your mask on was to protect others primarily. And it also protects yourself. So these two orientations, you might say, both point in the same direction. They're headed in the same direction. So taking care of others is the best way to take care of yourself. Realizing the deep connection that you have with all beings. And I don't simply mean social connections, but a connection in in fundamental nature, in what you really are. Your nature is not different from anything else in the universe. So if that is, the ground of your life, then you will naturally take care of other beings as you take care of yourself. But there's a practical side to this, and I think that's what your question is pointing at. If you don't take care of yourself in some basic fundamental ways, get enough sleep, eat well, take care of your health, take care of your mental well-being in some way, then you're not very well equipped to take care of others. So everyone has a different situation. I think of the nurses who are working in hospitals these days, taking care of COVID patients, sometimes working 20 hours a week. And they do it. They manage to do it on almost no sleep. And it must take a terrible toll. So I'm filled with admiration for the healthcare workers at all times. I certainly benefited from them. When I was very ill, I really came to admire the nurses as super beings almost, what they're able to do and how much they help and how much their lives are oriented in that direction. So if you have that strong direction, you'll be okay. You will take care of yourself sufficiently that you can function in whatever situations you're in whatever ways you have to help people. If you're a teacher, and you have to help your students. And if you're a teacher, maybe you have many, many students, and you're responsible, for their well-being, their education. And if you fall apart yourself, you can't very well fulfill your duties. So it comes down to determination coupled with common sense. Yeah, and maybe a lot of the time, you're really feeling stressed and you're really suffering, but you manage to help the people that you have an obligation to. And perhaps even beyond any obligation that we, normally can formulate. That obligation is an interesting word. It means tied together, like ligament. Obligation means you're intertwined. So that sense of being intertwined, that sense of inter-being rather than isolated being, that Thich Nhat Hanh used to talk about. So in a very deep sense, everything is completely and intricately interdependent and interrelated. So, keeping that mind, and not simply in a theoretical way, but whatever way your life allows you to practice it, I think that's the Buddhist approach. So thank you for your question. We have time for one more question if there is one. Or if there are no more questions, we can stop now. And it's time for announcements. Thank you all very much.